right there. That's the sign. Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's doing fantabulous and fantastic and everything else under the sun. Are we looking too hard? Hey, where are they at? I can't see them. Where is it? Where's that sign? I'm gonna miss it. Are we? Are we trying to find it wherever we go? A lot of us constantly going, I want a sign, I want a sign, I want a sign, I want some sort of indication, I want some sort of indicator. And then everywhere we look, we're looking for it, right? Everywhere, right? You look at every license plate. You're like afraid you're going to drive off the road because you keep looking at things you shouldn't be looking at. And a lot of us get worried that we're not going to see the sign. Or we can even, oftentimes, this happens, we'll go down a path where we specifically expect to see the sign a certain way. Maybe last time we saw it in license plates. So now we're like, everywhere I go, it's got to be a license plate. Well, maybe it's going to be the magazine you open up and there'll be an ad, and that ad will be of them. That sign may come to you in a totally different direction. So a lot of the times when we put all this focus on expecting it a certain way, expecting it to happen, expecting that, or freaking out usually, that we'll miss it, we have to be open to the fact that life is interacting with us constantly. And you've noticed before when you weren't looking for signs, before you knew about signs, that synchronicities, signs, happened. They happened, and you saw them. You always saw them. They happen, so you'll see them. You intentionally, higher self-wise, want to see them. So you'll be guided to. You haven't missed one yet when you weren't worried about it. And now that you are worried about it, you actually are missing stuff because you're so focused on being focused on something that you're not letting yourself just look where you need to look, when you need to look. The example I frequently like to use, and not everybody's seen a shooting star, but I know many, many people have. And basically, for those of you that don't know what a shooting star or a meteor is, I hope you do. You should, right? Like a rock from space enters the atmosphere and a big long fiery trail comes off it as it burns up in the atmosphere. If it's really big, sufficiently large, it'll either explode really close to the ground, or if it's even bigger than that, it'll actually hit the ground and cause damage. And they're pretty interesting, when they happen. But usually, most of the time, they burn out in the atmosphere or blow up when they hit the dense atmosphere and just, it's too much atmosphere and they have a hard time getting through it, right? And maybe little pellets will make it to the ground, but nothing that's truly damaging. But what's interesting about shooting stars, off on that tangent, science experiments, right? Or science discussions. But exactly when you see a shooting star, when it happens, they happen and they're a glimmer of a second. They're quick. It's like a second at best that a shooting star will exist typically in your view. For you to be able to see one, you had to look at that moment. Most of the time when it happens, either A, you're already looking there, which is cool. When it happens just in your line of sight, and it's just like, thank you, universe, that's awesome. But sometimes you'll just look out of the blue up at a portion of the sky, and then all of a sudden a little shooting star goes by, and you're like, wow, that's cool. When you allow yourself to be in sync with what's going on around you in the universe and the timing and the people and the places. I'm going to do a kind of a video on a similar topic coming up here in a few days on the way energies are. On my birthday, I went to Disneyland. It's a trip. How energies are with other people. And there was just some very interesting synchronicities that I noticed there in a place where there was easily 50,000 people in a reasonably small area. It was amazing. And you just bump into some of the same people. So you'll find that universe will work out the kinks. It'll work out the details. It'll work out the people that we're going to spend this time with or going to see or the sign that needs to happen. Like these things will make themselves apparent. You will see them. Sometimes, by the way, and this is something to keep in mind for a lot of us, the way the sign shows up, the way this indication, this indicator, the way this thing that you're asking for, this help me know, because I know a lot of us are doing that. Help me know that this is the right thing. Help me know that I should keep waiting. A lot of us ask that. Not good questions in my mind, by the way. Help me know if this is the right thing to do. That's wrong. You're putting your choices outside of yourself. You're asking some outside influence, make a choice for me. Because right or wrong is not really a real term, right? It's relative to how it works out. I mean, Right. What do you mean? Is it right in the sense that you can do it, or is it right in the sense of you'll be happy-ish or forever with that person? Two very different questions. Universe gives you whatever you want, doesn't really care. If you're more concerned about long-term, is this person good for me? Is it a healthy relationship? Is it ideal for my personality type and the growth and my soul development and what I'm here to do? Is their life path in line with mine? Then yes, that's like a different story, right? And that's really what we're trying to create versus sometimes some of the questions that may come up, right? Sometimes we just, we have all these questions trying to figure out, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this right? How the sign shows up is oftentimes key to the sign itself. It, one, can make us more open to seeing things in different avenues, different places, maybe a magazine, maybe a song, maybe it was the commercial that just came on, maybe it was a license plate, maybe it was a balloon that someone accidentally just let go or got caught in a tree and it happens to say happy birthday and today happens to be their birthday or whatever, right? Like signs show up in very funny way. I've had people, and this has happened to me even, where they've said, I want a sign that X is the case. And then you'll end up driving by and you'll see a neon sign place and it'll just be a neon sign that says sign. And you're just like, that's funny. Sometimes the way the sign shows up is key. So when you're looking around, you're looking for all the places you're expecting the sign to show up, and you're kind of sometimes missing the point. Universe also wants to remind us that I can provide what it is you're asking for in a lot of ways that you're not thinking about. A lot of us put limitations because we think it should happen a certain way. They should come from this place, or we should meet here, or this sort of scenario should happen, and this is how it should play out. We need to have a big, long talk about something that needs a dialogue so it'll go away when maybe that's not actually the best thing. Maybe give it a couple months and it'll go away all on its own. Both of you will stop worrying about it, right? Like there's always a different avenue things can show up, and sometimes that avenue demonstrates something larger to us. Kind of helps, kind of gets us to go, oh, you're right. So again, when we look too hard, when we focus too specifically, we sometimes will start to miss the true joy of what's going on during the day. And by the way, FYI, you might have this thing you're concerned about and trying to manifest, right? I'm trying to get this specific person back or this job or whatever, and I'm looking for this specific sign for that. Other stuff's going on in your life, and if you're open to it, you might actually see other things that matter to other things going on top of the indication for your specific question right now. But there's always other answers that may be of benefit to you. So again, when we take our minds off the specific, am I going to see it? Am I going to see it? What's that license plate say? Right? Like when we stop doing that and just realize that I'll see it when it happens. It's meant for me. If it's a sign for you and you don't see it, then it's not a sign for you, right? Seriously, think about it for half a second. If it's a sign for you, you have to see it. You have to see it by the very nature of it being a sign for you. Now, if you're asking for something very specific as a sign, that's a different story. Now you're trying to manifest a sign. That's a different thing altogether. And I've talked about that in other shows. When we try to manifest a sign to tell us something else, that's different. When we're trying to manifest something very specific and signs happen, now that's the way it's supposed to occur. So a lot of us kind of get down that path too. So be careful that you're not going down that road. Again, let me try to restate that in another way. Sometimes, the way manifestation works is you imagine a scenario, you imagine an outcome, new job, new person, new place, new whatever, new trip, going to travel somewhere. You imagine the location, you imagine living from that location, you storyboard it, you meditate about it, you live in the end from it, you whisper technique it, you tap, thump it. I don't know, there's all sorts of techniques out there. Once you've done that, then it happens. And it starts happening. You start creating that avenue and you just let go and you realize it's happening. Then you will get some sort of sign or indication. Something will happen that will remind you of it. Maybe you're trying to plan a trip to Paris. All of a sudden, you're seeing a picture of the Eiffel Tower. Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to see, a story about the Concorde and when they stopped flying it. Like, that's just a French plane for those of you that maybe don't know it, right? Like, and it no longer flies. Very cool. It was a supersonic. It was the only one ever. Very fantastic. So again, you'll start to see your signs. That's how signs are supposed to happen. Those are the ones that really matter. Now, when you're trying to manifest your specific person, for example, you will see things that will remind you of them. In these cases, believe me, you will see them. They will happen. You will not miss them. You will look right at the right time and see the thing or see the license plate, see the street sign, see whatever it is. You'll see it. It'll happen. When you're manifesting a sign and you're constantly walking around and looking for it, that's the exact same thing as when I talk about constantly noticing how you don't have what it is that you're trying to manifest. So again, now you're manifesting a sign. That's what you're manifesting. You're manifesting a sign. So when people say, well, is that just happening because you said you wanted that to happen? Well, yeah, sometimes when you say, I want to see an orange butterfly, and then that's going to mean that so-and-so loves me. Okay, you're basically manifesting an orange butterfly, and it could very well imply that they love you. I don't know, but that's a second degree that goes past that. When instead, you could say, give me a sign that he loves me. You know, I really want to know that he thinks of me in that way too, that he thinks of me romantically. Let me have some sort of sign or indication of that. Help me understand that. Help me know that. And then let the universe come to your aid. That's a different story, because now you're asking for an answer. You're asking for support. And universe will come up with some very interesting way. It will never be provable. You'll never be able to say, oh, this is it for sure. You'll know. You'll just be like, yeah, that's it. That's it. You'll just know. It'll hit you. But when you're trying to manifest a very specific thing because of a specific thing, you're kind of manifesting a specific thing first, more so than its connection to that secondary thing, in my understanding of it. There are times where, yeah, it seems to indicate that, but I think that's a lot more less trustworthy for something that's not trustworthy. Again, you can't prove this stuff, right? That's the joy of it, but we feel it. That's where the proof lies, within yourself. So when you feel it, when you feel that connection, you're like, oh, that's it. It just hit you. Yes, that's it. That's when you know you're getting that answer. So just be careful we don't put it out there to where I have to see that sign or else. Like, right? Like you put that level of pressure on the universe, if you will. You're putting that same level of pressure on yourself, and it doesn't work. You can't manipulate the universe into giving you what you want just to make sure to prove to you that this is how it works. Like, the universe is like, don't believe it. I don't care. Do what you want. The universe doesn't care. Do what you want. I'm going to give you what you're vibrating at, period, no matter what. If you believe it, don't believe it. If you do it, don't do it. If you like it, don't like it. Doesn't really matter. It's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing it. So the big takeaway from this, try to make sure you're not looking everywhere you go. You're not trying to find that sign no matter where you go. Not trying to look under every rock, right? That's like you're stopping living life because you're constantly looking for this thing that you're not sure, but you know it's coming. Focus on the manifestation. Focus on the thing. The signs will come and show themselves. Ask questions to the universe. The universe will give you those answers in some sort of way. Asking for signs just to have an indication of something else, don't recommend it. It's just you're going in a weird kind of pattern that you lose that. I think on that next degree back, I think it's trickier. Manifest the thing that you're after. If they love you, then manifest it. And if you need that answer, then manifest that answer. But know that that's what you're trying to create. Create that. Then the signs will come to show you that's coming. And then don't necessarily look for the signs, because then you won't see them. I think that's the big takeaway is when you're looking for something, a lot of times, you just don't see it because you're not allowing yourself to. It's like a lot of this stuff's always been around us, right? But as we shift our filters and focuses, stuff starts to show that didn't a moment ago. And now it does, because I've realized that there are good people in the world. And then now all of a sudden, boom, I'm starting to see good people. Same kind of thing, when we open it up to just let it see and show. Let the sign show itself. Don't look for it. Let it show itself. It will show itself, and you will see it because it was for you. That's the beauty of all of this good stuff. Going out with I don't know, it's a funny song, and it's the few lyrics that are actually in it, I think, are apropos to what I'm talking about nonetheless, but it is kind of a funny song because it just reminds me, it's from the movie, I think, The Night at the Roxbury, I think is the name of it, but anyway, it's by Hathaway. It's called What is Love? It's right here on Dan Radio.